This is Faith Break, a podcast about recognizing God moments in our everyday lives, with hosts Karen Luke and Ann Gallagher. In a special Holy Week episode, Karen and Ann sit down with our pastor, Father Rob, to reflect on how Jesus' last days on earth show us what a changed heart looks like, how we experience dying and rising in our lives, and what God calls us to surrender so that new life can grow.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Faith Break. I'm Karen Luke.
And I'm Ann Gallagher.
And as you can see, we have a very special guest with us, Father Rob. And today we are going to be talking about Palm Sunday,
Holy Week,
our God moments, and the season of surrendering.
Ooh, boy.
So there's a lot to talk about.
That's why we brought in big guns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't count on it.
Well, you already said you've been doing your research, so that's good.
Yeah.
Perfect. We start all of our podcasts with our God moment. So would you like to share a God moment with us?
Sure. And I share with all humility. Just the other day, well, actually, it was Sunday before church, a couple came up to me to say something and share it with me. And last week, I went to a hospice to give somebody their last rites. And there was somebody, they're volunteering or working or whatever. I did not notice this individual, but this person told this couple that they were so impressed by me, since I say this humbly, and they were just observing the time I was spending with this couple. It was a gentleman who I came to anoint and pray with, and they had shared with me that this individual's been away for the church, and they're kind of hoping that maybe this might be a little impetus. They want to invite this individual to join them for liturgy one weekend. So that's my latest God moment.
That is an awesome God
Amazing.
moment.
Yeah, I mean, with all humility, I say that. I had no idea who didn't see this person wherever they were in the house.
Talk about season of surrender, that hospice journey.
Definitely.
Having gone through that myself in the last few months, that's a blessing.
We're very fortunate with the
walk
hospices we have here in our area. Very, very fortunate.
Yeah. Yep.
They're sacred places, definitely.
And the people who work there are just
phenomenal.
I can't even say enough beautiful things about the people who walked with Mom. And I mean,
They're angels on earth.
Yes.
They're angels.
100%. Yeah.
Do you have a God moment?
I do. So mine also happened on Sunday. We had our in-person religious ed classes, and our first graders were upstairs, and they were cleaning up the stage from the production, but the stage was still up there. So the kids asked the teachers if they could go up on stage and recite the Our Father. And
did you get a video?
I did not get a video, but I did get a picture. And I think this is the first time that my first graders know the Our Father without having to look at it. And I was one proud faith formation director.
Did they do the sign of the cross with the right hand? Or
I don't know if they did. I don't know if they did that. But
it's so funny when I go to bless somebody, like First Reconciliation, and the kids kind of like, and they're kind of like, do I move my hand?
Moment of panic. Like, what do I do? I know I practiced this.
And I always say, yeah, you can do that.
Yeah. But it was so cute. They said it nice and loud, and they all knew it. And it was just sweet. I love when the kids get entertained by that. And my teachers are wonderful. Shout out to all my teachers. So that was
great.
my God moment. What about you, Ann?
Okay, so mine is kind of a quiet family God moment, but I think it kind of ties in with our themes around Holy Week and dying and rising, because we have this one room in our house. Sometimes we call it the office, sometimes we call it the guest room, but it's the space where, when things start getting hectic and nuts, that like everything just piles up in there. And, in the last several months, we've been in the process of cleaning my mom's condo out and move, there's just all kinds of stuff. But right before Christmas, we committed, because my sister was going to come and stay in that room for a week. we cleaned everything out, and I brought everything into the room that was special from my mom's house, like the things that I always knew I really wanted. Like there's a picture of the Madonna and Child that she had in her bedroom my whole life, and that's hanging in there. And her hope chest, which was the thing I wanted from our house, is there. And back over Christmas time, we had the creche that my aunt and uncle made for her that were there. And layered on top of that is that I've spoken before to both of you about how we bought our house from my uncle after my aunt died. And this particular room was her art studio. So I still have her, and she had been an art teacher. I have her name tag. This is Ms. Cadera up on the wall, and some quotes from my Aunt Sue. And I have some of her paintings that were at my mom's house now in that room. So I have this ritual I've been doing as part of like my grieving, where I go in there at night and I have a little lamp, and I just turn the little lamp on. And I don't even use this space all that much myself, but I turn the lamp on, and I think part of me is just envisioning my mom and Sue just sitting there like having tea. But my God moment is that I've noticed my children are gravitating to that room now. So they will bring in their homework, and they'll sit in the room and they'll do their homework together. And Bridget has music she puts on. That was the music we had in my mom's hospital room, and the CD player and everything. And my kids will just sit there and they'll do their work. And so it's become kind of a sacred space for them too. So that's my God moment, because I had several little moments this week where I just kind of, and sometimes they go in there and they close the door, and it's just, just for them. So yeah,
that is nice.
It's my God moment.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Nice to hear the two of them are
Getting
bonding
along,
together, getting
right?
along.
I know,
right?
not fighting.
Yeah.
That's true.
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
Should we dive into
There's a lot for
Palm Sunday and Holy Week?
Yeah. So
yes. Wait, where are the palms? Where are the palms?
I know. Well, so our theme this whole Lent has been change our hearts.
Right.
Change of heart, change our hearts. And when we're looking at Jesus's last week, like what a model he is for us about what it looks like to let God change your heart and to surrender. So, I don't know. Why don't we start with Jesus? And
That's always a good point.
Let's start with Jesus. But when we look at the steps he walked during his last week on earth, like what do you notice about what he's teaching us about this idea of surrender and letting go?
Well, thinking about it, this is making his entrance into Jerusalem. I mean, talk about a dramatic change of a lot of hearts in different ways, not always positive.
Yes.
I mean, he's triumphantly coming in. The people are excited. They're revved up. And Jesus knows what's lying ahead. And his public ministry, which really was brief, so we're told 3 years, it's coming to a completion somewhat in this world, but you and I both know that he passed on his ministry, his mission to his followers, the faithful followers, and hoping, there's so many examples in the scriptures before this event that people wanted him to always stay with them and not move on. He said, no, I got to keep moving on. I got to spread the message. And that's why he sent the disciples out. But the change of heart, that whole shift, from all the joys in the next coming days, it's going to flip right upside down. Betrayal. Betrayal. We're talking about Jesus, but let's talk about the crowd, the people around, their change of heart.
From cheering
to hardness of heart. Those who were plotting because they wanted to get rid of him because it was conflicting with their agenda. Right. And even Jesus, in the week as it unfolds, as we get to Good Friday, the scriptures tell us, as he's being executed, hanging on that horrible instrument of death, that at one point, he talked about let this cup pass from me.
Yeah.
But comes to the point in his heart, his spirit, not my will, but your will.
Yeah.
And here, because of that great passion of his heart, he gives his very life for all people, all his sisters and brothers then, and all the ones that are going to be beyond us when our moment comes too. And then, it is finished. Those are the last spoken words right before the moment of his death. And, one person I like to cite out is Judas. Now, talk about a change of heart. I mean, here, there was something really special about him, and that's why Jesus chose him to be one of the 12.
Right.
I mean, he had to have wonderful gifts that Jesus was relying on him to take and bring to other people.
Think about him as always being a villain, and you don't remember that, that's not the story. He had a call story. He had a ministry and a role to play too. Yeah.
Some believe and will tell us that, why he did what he did is because he wanted Jesus to move quicker. He wanted to take over and establish, what he thought the kingdom should be, which was around, again, it was his will, not the Lord's will. And the other thing, I believe, and particularly focusing since the years I took the spiritual exercises about evil that's out there.
Yeah.
The devil, darkness, whatever you want to call it, that plays on human life. They can turn people around. Just look at our country and countries throughout the world, and we can even see it sometimes in relationships and family and among our circles of friends, the people we thought we knew, and then something happens, they turn around. And Judas, and when he went to the authorities, now to me, I've been thinking about this particularly more concentration lately, is when he went to the authorities, he said, "What will you give me?" Look at all that Jesus wanted to give him and did give him, but now he's taken in by the world in his own agenda. What will you give me? And what was it? So we're told 30 coins, 30 silver coins, the ways of the world. What did Jesus say in that one scripture passage? Whose image is on that coin? Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Give to God what belongs to God. And Judas's heart changed that he couldn't give to his friend anymore or to God. So it makes me in this season, this theme for Lent and leading up to our Easter, what do I need to change in my heart so I don't get pulled into the trappings of the Caesars of this world?
Wow. And so much of that too, like juxtaposing Judas with Jesus, is about the ego, right? Like, I'm thinking about Holy Week as almost like a counterpoint to Jesus, where we started Lent with Jesus in the desert for 40 days, and we saw with those temptations, him just like relinquishing the earthly powers, just the sense of his ego over like what God was calling him to. I think he does all of that again over Holy Week. He sets aside in increments one thing after another, right? The last, he enters Jerusalem to fanfare, but then he's got the anointing at Bethany and the Last Supper and, his suffering and death. And it just, he lets things go one by one by one by one until there's nothing left but space in his heart. Talk about changing our hearts. Nothing left but space in his heart for compassion and for love. And he received all of that suffering and transformed it. But he could only do it because he wasn't clinging to some other idea of, what his life could look like.
Yeah.
In the Last Supper, too, I think about, when Jesus says, someone here is going to betray me. Now, I've said this before, or heard it from others. I mean, you can gather, let's say, our congregation at church, and who among this group is going to betray Jesus? And it's betrayal when anytime I choose to sin or anybody else to sin. That's a betrayal to Christ. And I think about, Judas, says, surely it's not I. And then Jesus
Right.
dips the bread and hands it to him. I mean, what was Judas thinking?
Yeah.
Like, all right, I
'Cause
need to
that's
do something
deception.
to right. But I would think, well, what are the other people, whoever was in that room around the table, what were they thinking?
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
oh my
uncomfortable
God.
moment.
Uncomfortable moment.
Yeah.
Should I say anything? And
Right.
up he goes. Up
Yeah.
he goes. Yeah.
That's something that I happened upon when I was looking at the readings, and it says, surrender during Holy Week is to walk with Jesus slowly, listen more than explain, and stay when it's uncomfortable. And I was thinking of Mary staying when it was uncomfortable.
At the foot of the cross.
At the foot of the cross, and how she was the one that was there, and everyone else went into hiding.
Except John. And the other
You're
Mary.
Right. Yes.
The other women were still there. And
The women.
And the teenager.
And and think about, I cringe anytime. There was nothing beautiful about a crucifixion, what they
Right.
did. I mean, stripped of your clothing, there's your son naked
Yep.
on this instrument of execution.
Yep.
I mean, oh my gosh. I do. I cringe at just thought, it's, I don't know.
But our faith isn't always comfortable. And I think that's where a lot of,
And sometimes to watch, speak about Mary as the mother, like the suffering of watching your child suffer is a whole, Jesus suffered, but Jesus allowed this. I don't want to say he had agency in the suffering, but he did. He walked the path that God was calling him to. But Mary, she could only watch. She could only watch and be present.
And I wonder if the words came back to her that were spoken to her earlier, and Simeon said, someday a sword will pierce your heart. I mean, what could be more piercing than go through that?
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I think that's the crux of a Holy Week is the Paschal mystery, right? The dying and the rising, and the idea that Jesus walked this road because on the other side of the cross is new life and is hope and is grace that we can't find without going through the suffering, right? And it's not that God wants the suffering, but it's that this is how the grace gets in. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit, either of you, about this whole idea in Holy Week, and then also in just seasons of change, because there's a lot in our personal lives that's changing. There's a lot in the lives of our church that's changing. We're all experiencing dying and rising in a lot of different ways, whether it's, kids going away to college, loved ones passing away, other things in our culture changing. But like, how does the Paschal mystery help us move through the changes that we go through in our lives that are so difficult, in our seasons when we have to let go?
You go ahead. I like listening to you. You're our guest.
Well, I got so many different thoughts, but I cannot go through them all. But since we're talking about Holy Week, Paschal mystery, I always think of one of my dearest friends who's now, I believe, with the Lord, Marla, who I travel with so many times. We met over 40-some years ago, and when her husband died very young, Marla said she never realized how strong her faith was until Bob died. And I think of that often. I can hear her right now in my mind. And then not too long after that, her oldest son died unexpectedly too, Brian. And it was still there. And Marla taught me, and I knew it, but to hear her, share her faith, the Eucharist was just so important to her, and, the Lord said to those who were listening, one of my favorite lines is, let those who have ears
Listen.
hear and listen. Yeah. And whoever shares in this gift that I'm going to give you will have me with you always in any situation, and you will have life that will be sustained forever. So that resonates with me often, and I try to share that with my vocation with people, and having the privilege to celebrate the Eucharist and all the sacraments for that fact. But that really nurtures me. Doesn't mean I don't have times to get challenged, things happen, but very, very mindful of that. Like you, this past year with your mom, one of my very, very best friends, Jerry, he died. And when I go to Massachusetts, it was my second home, literally. I mean, 4 seasons of clothes in their house. I lived there. And Jerry is like one of the last people, in our group that we had there and that. I mean, we had the kids, younger than me, obviously, but and they're still here and they're very loving, attentive. But that whole passing on, literally dying but rising in faith. And I had a great circle. They were a great circle of friends. Their faith was rich, and we celebrated well our beliefs in Christ. And it's just kind of a different year for me, still thinking about, getting ready to sell the house. Well, not we, the kids are getting ready to sell their home, and that's going to be a big thing even for me, the time I spent there and lived there. This past week, I was with my spiritual director, and she was asking me, what I've been reading, and so I was sharing with her what I was reading. And so she said, just come aware of this new book. She's read it herself. She says, Rob, I want you to get it so that we can discuss it together and talk about seasons and change of hearts by Ron Rollhauser.
Oh, he's so good.
Well, this is called Insane for the Light.
Oh,
I'm writing this down.
I know, me too.
Insane for the Light. And it's spirituality for our wisdom years, and divides the book up, kind of ages them. I got morning, noon, and dusk. And I think she was kind of referring that maybe she and I are in the dusk mode. Okay, all right. So the book just came delivered. And, I think years back when we had a speaker when it was another parish, and a local newspaper came to interview this guy. And then in the article, he says, and the pastor's middle-aged. And I thought, what? Is he referring to me? And I'm like,
Oh, we've talked about middle-aged and seasons.
Yeah.
Well, you both know my model is, I'm not as young as I used to be, but I'm still young. That's my model.
I can live with that.
My go-to, whatever.
That's good.
So anyways, this will be interesting. Talk about change your heart, change of life and seasons, how to experience dying and rising. And I think, letting go, like my friend Jerry, and let him go, and how do you move on, and dress in my own life. Now I guess I'm heading into the dusk.
No, don't be in too much of a hurry.
What do you need? Yeah, I'm not in a hurry. What to let go of, and what to hold on to and take.
Yeah.
So that's been
it's got to be hard too, because I know we're both in seasons of grieving right now, but for you, a lot of your work and your ministry is around helping other people grieve, whereas in youth ministry, it's not. There are times like when that comes up, but how many funerals have you done at the parish in the last year? Do you keep
in the
track?
last year? Oh my gosh!
Do you or in 2025 until now?
2025, there. Oh my gosh!
20.
Oh no, more than that. Because we had 20 some at the one parish, and probably almost as many as the other too. Yeah. I mean, this year,
right?
2026, we've already had 12, and today. Meeting a family.
12 and 20 in the last, not even 2 months.
And then meeting a family today, this afternoon, to plan a funeral. And then we have that other one we're trying to plan, you and I, get that together too. So
that's got to be like a huge percentage of your energy, or of your, even just the hours you spend are around funerals. Yeah.
And that's,
you're so good at them, but I would imagine that would be difficult.
Well, it's mentally and emotionally and spiritual. Everything.
And I do. That's why I like to sit with the families and planning. often I know them.
Right.
And so that's got a whole energy with itself.
Yeah.
And then people I don't really know but come.
Yeah.
It's very important to be with them so I get to know them and get
Right.
to know about the person we're going to celebrate his or her life. And I do put myself into it. And I mean, I think that is one of my gifts. I mean,
It definitely
is.
is.
It definitely is, yes.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you're kind of steeped in the Paschal mystery all the time. And
Dying and
as all
rising.
dying and rising,
Dying
dying and
rising.
rising, being a beacon of that faith. Oh, what else, Karen?
Well, I got some quotes from some wonderful saints of ours about surrendering.
Okay.
And one of my favorites is from St. Francis de Sales. And he says, gentle surrender rather than anxious striving.
Gentle.
Gentle surrender rather than anxious striving. And I just like that because we talk about this a lot. I'm a very anxious person, right? And it's always like looking ahead and what can be done so it's not anxiety ridden. And Jeff and I share with our children that we have our kids have to like be prepared for things and not just, okay, now we're going to go do something else. But you're not striving for anything and like having that anxiety, but just the idea that surrendering isn't giving up. It's putting yourself in God's hands.
But we even see Jesus being anxious
Yeah.
in the garden this week.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's something
Gethsemane,
to remember too, is that he understands what that feels like to be in that position. Like, take the cup,
Yeah.
if you can take it,
Well,
take it.
I mean, Jesus was human, and that's what I love about the divinity of Jesus and also the humanity is he felt everything that we feel.
Yeah.
But was able to do more because of his divinity. And it's just, it's humbling to know that like Jesus, on the cross, he's like, really, does this really need to happen? And then is able to surrender that and be able to do that. And then St. Ignatius of Loyola says, surrender as active trust and cooperation with God's will. So looking at it as just letting go, letting it in God's hands. And unfortunately, sometimes we have trouble with that because of that humanity aspect of us. It's just, I need to have that control.
We'll talk about the spiritual exercises. That's the whole idea of freedom, right?
Yeah.
Interior freedom. And that's what Jesus was able to do so completely that we all struggle with is the idea of, being so internally free that you could walk that road.
I mean, I will say when I was younger and not in ministry, I didn't really have the concept of Holy Week that I do now. And every year it's more engaged. But it is such a fruitful week of the mysteries and the sacramentality that we're given during this week and the celebrations of Holy Saturday when we get to celebrate the kids and the adults coming into the church and then the new life on Easter. It's just, if you haven't celebrated the Triduum or Holy Week before,
this is the year.
This is the year to do it.
You should come this year.
Yes, you should.
It's going to be really special this year. We've got Holy Thursday and Good Friday at St. Catherine's this year, which is going to be beautiful. And at the Easter Vigil, we have 15 individuals.
Give or take. Yep.
About half and half
8
kids and adults.
7 adults, I think.
Joining our church.
Yeah.
It's going to be an exciting evening.
Yep.
Indeed.
And Holy Saturday is my favorite holy day by far. And again, I didn't realize the richness of it until I was in ministry. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was missing out all these years.
You were talking about Ronald Rolheiser's. Have you read his book, The Passion and the Cross?
No, I haven't.
That one's all about the Paschal ministry. When you're done with the end of life one.
You're done with everything else.
After I get through the dusk, right?
When you get through the dusk. It's short. It's a little one, but it's really profound. I think I've talked to you about it because he uses the the image of like a water filter, like you would put in your fridge, and how like it just takes all the imperfections out and leaves nothing but beautiful, pure water. And he's like, that's what Jesus did on the cross. He took into himself all of the evil and the suffering, and he gave none of it back. He only gave back.
I love
like
that.
that image.
Beautiful. Yeah. It made me think about things in a whole different way. So that's another Holy Week thought. And you remember what Eric was talking about, tomb time?
Tomb time, yeah.
That was a couple of years ago now, wasn't it?
You remember that? Yeah.
Come to, giving yourself space and step aside and refresh your person, whatever, and that. So, yeah, I'm working on it. Try to.
I'm working on it.
He reminds me of that
yeah.
all the time, yeah.
Does he?
You're in good
Some
company.
people have a lot of tomb time. They live there permanently.
I don't think I want to be permanently in tomb time. No, thank you.
But no, that was good wisdom from Eric. Well, it's important too, like how times of scriptures, Jesus went off to pray. You got to give your spouse, yourself space and just to replenish or be still, and there you are.
Ann and I have talked multiple times about a holy no.
I've heard you mention.
That's so we can say better holy yeses.
Yes, that's so we can say better holy yeses. Yes. Anything else you'd like to share?
One of the questions you gave me to think about is, what is God calling us to let go of so new things can happen? And immediately I thought of the serenity prayer. The serenity prayer says, Lord, may I accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can,
and the
wisdom to know the difference. How important wisdom is. And people of faith, we refer to wisdom, the Holy Spirit, all the time. And to take that time to let wisdom guide us, when it is appropriate, we can say no. And when we can say yes to whatever presentation of this new life that is before us. The last weekend before we began Lent, preaching in the gospel, Jesus is saying over and over again, you have heard it said, but I'm saying to you. Right. And he talks about various things that come before us in life, because he's calling and inviting us to go deeper, to go deeper, not to take everything so literal. Just one example would be like, you've heard you should not murder, and say, hey, the three of us haven't murdered anybody. I'm speaking for myself anyways.
Oh, yeah, I haven't either.
But he says you got to go deeper, because when, what about in relationships? Where do you talk about people? Do you have evil thoughts or whatever? That's destroying, that's killing in another way. So that's, those words really stick with me about going deeper. But I say to you, in taking the time, okay, what is Jesus saying to me? Rob, stop talking. Try not to think. That's a tough thing, Just listen. Listen and experience that change. And where is he calling me to some new growth? Because as long as you're in the world, you should be growing.
Amen. Yeah.
One of my quotes that I have on my office, one of the pieces of furniture, is from Michelangelo. And he said, I am still learning. And hopefully I'm still learning for the good.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I like that ending with the serenity prayer. That's a good, that's a really good Holy Week prayer. Serenity, courage, wisdom.
Yep.
I think that's a good note to end on. Thank you for coming.
Yeah,
well, thanks for having me. It was
I'll have to have
fun.
you back again.
All right. Sounds good. Love
Definitely
to.
a multiple guest.
Love to. All right.
All right. Great. Thank you, everyone. Have a blessed Holy Week.
Hopefully we'll see you at all of our liturgies.
It'll be wonderful. If you have any questions about any of the times or dates or anything like that, check the bulletin website. And we look forward to seeing you. Thanks so much.
Happy Holy Week.
Bye.
God bless.
Enjoy your tomb time.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for taking a faith break with us today. Karen Luke and Ann Gallagher are lay ministers with the parishes of St. Catherine of Siena in Mendon, New York, and Church of the Transfiguration in Pittsford, New York. More about our parishes, including weekly live-streamed Sunday Mass, can be found at pittsfordmendencatholic.org. Thanks to our special guest today, Pastor Father Rob. Faith Break is engineered by Jeff Beckett. Join us for new episodes of Faith Break each week in studio on YouTube or on your favorite audio podcast or music app.